Hello, it's your boy Abdul and welcome back to my channel F1 Racing Central aka FRC. That F1 preseason testing is basically done and dusted, and teams have collected a pretty substantial data. What was a pretty successful testing for every team, considering the reliability issues, and there wasn't any team that encountered any such reliability issues except Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo, and Mercedes. These three teams were the only teams that encountered reliability issues with the car. Coming down on what is preseason testing basically. A preseason testing is a 3-day shakedown in which all 10 teams take out the cars on a track. In this case, it was Bahrain circuit. In preseason testing, we have 3 days. Basically, we have 3 days of preseason testing. The time is usually of around 8.5 hours, where teams get their cars on track and see what they have actually made in the factory, what they have, the work that all the engineers have put in, all the simulator works, all the data that they have gotten from the car, and the parts they have put in after getting that simulated data, parts that they have put in on the car. They actually test all the parts. It's mandatory that each driver gets equal time. Like if a team has a two driver, in this example, let's suppose Red Bull have two drivers, right? Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen. It's mandatory on them that Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen gets equal time on the car. And as we have seen that Max did a whole 1 day, Checo did whole 1 day, and then Max and Checo shared the cars on day 2 of preseason testing. Now basically we have all the data and everything, so I will be ranking up the teams and I will be telling you what can we expect in the first race in Bahrain. So talking about Red Bull, it was a pretty successful testing for them. All in all, they are the team that have cleared up the grid. If we can say any team that is on their level, it will be pretty shocking to say, but it will be just Aston Martin who will be on their level. The race pace data that Aston Martin collected, and the race pace data was actually on Twitter as well, it was on par with Red Bull. So it's pretty shocking that Aston Martin and Red Bull are on par, considering the race pace data. In qualifying, Red Bull is their own league, but it's just that the Ferrari are close behind. It's just 2/10 or 1/10 time difference between Ferrari and Red Bull. So Red Bull, on and all, had a pretty successful testing, and it was just like where they left off in 2022. Means in 2022, they came back and they showed the F1 world that they will be even more dominant this season than we were in last season. So it was a pretty good preseason testing for Red Bull, and giving Checo the last day, which is pretty important day in testing, the day 3, giving that to Checo was another step that Red Bull is showing that we have faith, we have trust on Checo, and Checo can do a lot of stuff with our car. We are going with full day with you on day 3, which is a really important day for in testing, day 3. So now, talking about Ferrari, they had a decent preseason testing. I mean, they know their own work, what they have to do. It's just like what Fred Vasseur spoke, what Charles Leclerc spoke. Fred said we were trying different setups on the car, and we were running different tires. We were just focusing on ourselves rather than focusing on any other team. And what I saw is like, Ferrari was actually focusing on themselves rather than looking at another team like Red Bull is doing that. Oh, we should also do that. We will be focusing on ourselves, getting our data, and then we will let the results show on what things we need to improve. So and another thing that Charles Leclerc pointed out, that the straight line speed is quite good this year compared to last year. They have improved in its straight line speed. They have reduced their drag on the car, but while reducing the drag, they have actually lost the cornering speed. So I think all in all, Ferrari had a decent preseason testing, but they will be worried about the Red Bull space. We are again with Ferrari, we saw that a tire deck issue which was there last year, and they couldn't. At least preseason data shows that they couldn't actually fix the tire deck issue. So they have work to do on the tire deck data with the upgrade coming on the floor. They will be bringing a new upgrade with the floor in the Bahrain race. So let's see how that works. It was a pretty decent preseason for Ferrari. Carlos Sainz also wrapping up some good laps, and no reliability issues for Ferrari, and Charles Leclerc as well. covering as many laps as possible. And at the point in day 3, they were like 1-2 at that point, Carlos and Charles Leclerc. So it was a pretty decent preseason testing for them. Coming on to Mercedes, now I think they will be worried. Considering where Aston Martin is, I think they will be worried. Actually, Toto Wolff said that Aston Martin can be competing for second place this year in the Constructors' Championship, which is pretty bold statement by Toto Wolff, considering how Aston Martin last year went. Now Mercedes proposing issues done. They didn't have any proposing in preseason testing. Was it that they lost some downforce? I don't know if they lost some downforce or if they have gained some downforce. The proposing issues in there, which is a pretty good step after all the hardships and all the things they went last season 2022. It's a pretty good thing that they don't have proposing, but their car is pretty slow and it's again a bit draggy car. They don't have that top line straight line speed. They have good cornering speed, but they don't have top line speed. And with the issue that George Russell encountered in day 2, it was actually a pain for them. It wasn't a planned meeting and they discussed what they can do. They have some issues with their car, and all the rumor based, might see a spec B for W14 like we saw last year, that Mercedes revealed their car, showed a different car, brought a different car to the testing. We can see a whole change in this car as well. So that upgrade is meant to be on the car in Azerbaijan Grand Prix. So I will be waiting and I will be looking forward for that upgrade as well. If they do change their psychology, considering the zero side pod design, they dump this idea and go with the conventional side pod design like Red Bull, Ferrari, and or any other team on the grid. So in Mercedes, the preseason testing was a bad case for Mercedes, but not good or not bad. So yep, Mercedes will be on a back foot going on to Bahrain GP. Now coming on to McLaren. McLaren are struggling. Bill Buston said that Lando Norris punched the door in garage. So I think it was actually out of frustration over Lando. Like he has signed the contract for 2025, and now he is continuously getting a shed box. The last time Lando got a good car capable of winning was in 2021, and when McLaren let Daniel Ricciardo win instead of Lando Norris. And now consistently for 2 years, McLaren is providing a shit box for Lando Norris. With Oscar Piastri, we know how good a driver he is, and in the first season he's getting a shit box, so he will be also actually be thinking about why the fuck I signed McLaren's contract. I should have gone at another team. Now it's pretty big thing with McLaren. They don't have that resources. Obviously they have facilities building and with a new winter building and a new simulator that will be operational in 2024 or 2025, but till then what will McLaren do? It's the big question. What will McLaren do till then? I don't think McLaren can go anywhere with that. And considering how the preseason testing went for McLaren, it was totally shit for them. I mean, they didn't have top line speed, they didn't have cornering speed. Speaking about in terms of car that they build over the winter break, it's nowhere compared to the other teams. Now coming on to Haas, it was a pretty decent testing, and if I see a bigger picture for Haas, they are in a good place right now. If they can just fix their strategies and all, they are in a pretty decent place right now to compete in the midfield. They have the car, they have the right car to compete in the midfield, and everything is in place. You have to get two good drivers in Haas, Nicole Kimberg and Kevin Magnussen. They are pretty good drivers, and in testing we saw how they ramped up so many laps. It will be just a matter of time that how will Haas develop that car. Obviously they had new pit wall with three-seater pit wall, and every pit wall seat takes around $250,000, and they will be with every other team having at least 6 seats. They will be saving around $750,000, and that will be going to the car development, which is a pretty good step for Gunther Steiner. They know that they are short on money, they are short on budget. They don't have that much budget to compete high up the grade, so they need to cut operational costs. So I think to consider the car development is an important thing than having a pit wall. So it's a good step. They have Ferrari engine which have improved their reliability. It has a good top speed, and what is to be said that Ferrari, nor Alfa Romeo, nor Haas actually ran that engine on full power. They didn't even run that engine on 80% of power. It was just hovering around 50 to 60%. Actually, it can be seen in the telemetry or could see how much left these drivers were giving, and the engine was actually down on power. It was actually a lot down on power. So Haas is in pretty decent place with the Ferrari engine at the back. They have the horsepower, they have a good aero package as well. That Ferrari side for design, they have good aero package as well. So I think Haas is in good position to compete in the midfield. Coming on to Alfa Romeo, I think Alfa Romeo is also in a pretty decent place to compete in the midfield. These two teams, the Ferrari powered cars, are in a pretty decent place to compete in the midfield. I think Alfa Romeo have the right tools, the right car. They have a good drive in terms of Valtteri Bottas, who was struggling in pre-season testing, but Valtteri Bottas was right up there in day 3. He went third fastest, although it was on C5 tires, but he went fastest in third fastest, which was good for Alfa Romeo considering that the only reliability issue the Ferrari powered cars encountered was with Alfa Romeo, and stopped their mileage for a brief moment of time, like it was 2 to 3 hours, where they weren't running the car on track and fixing that engine problem back in the garage. So it was a decent pre-season testing for Alfa Romeo, with Zoe also dropping the timing sheets on day 2. So Alfa Romeo is also in a good place to be competing. They are just in the mix to be competing in the midfield. Coming on to Aston Martin now. They had a phenomenal preseason testing. They were right up there with the best top 3 guys: Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull. They were even better with Mercedes. As I said previously, that Toto Wolff was saying that Aston Martin can be the second fastest car. They can be the second best car. They had race pace. The race pace simulation that they ran, it was just on par with Red Bull. The lap times were around 37s, and Red Bull also wrapping up at 37 on C3 or C2 tires. So it was a pretty good testing for Aston Martin, and they were right there up there with Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull. So actually, let's say that like that what I actually feel is that if anything's happened at the front with any of the Red Bull cars, I think that also can grab a win over here. Let's put it into words like this: that Aston Martin cars so good at this point that Fernando Alonso can grab a win, and he is a good driver. We all know that he's a good driver, and he can grab that win, go on and win the first race. And what I think Aston Martin missed is that Lance Stroll's presence in that car. Alonso said this as well, that he also missed that Lance Stroll presence. The car, he is obviously new to the team, he's new to the car, but the feedback of Lance Stroll would have been vital for that car development, would have been vital for the team too. So as now I'm speaking, Felipe which will be racing in Aston Martin and replacing Lance Stroll for the Bahrain GP. So it's Felipe which also did some laps with Aston Martin, so he's also there and there about with the car. So it will be a pretty good thing for Felipe which finally getting his F1 debut with Aston Martin. So it's a pretty good thing for him as well. Coming on to AlphaTauri now, they had almost like okay-ish pre-season testing. I wasn't actually considering them to be high up the grid, and right now as well I'm not considering them to be high up the grid. They had okay pre-season testing. They ran some good laps and they had some pretty decent lap times, but I don't think actually they won't be competing in the midfield. Sonoda did some good lap times, but their race pace, their qualifying pace data shows that they won't be up there with anyone in the midfield, so they will be fighting at the back with, right now speaking, they will be competing with McLaren or Williams. Going on to Alpine, this team also had an okay pre-season testing. The thing was that they didn't had any reliability issues, which was actually a positive for them. Having no reliability issues with the car, ranked up some decent laps. So without having any reliability issues, which is a step up for them, obviously. With the race pace and qualifying data, they will be in the lower midfield, just in the lower midfield. But now speaking, they don't have the car. The preseason data shows that they don't have the car. It will be going any high up the grid. They will be actually worried that losing that 10 horsepower while solving these reliability issues will be causing them a lot of trouble this season. So let's see how it plans out for Alpine. Going on to Williams, it's another year for Williams that they will be competing at the back of the grid. Another year, another back of the grid year for them. the difference will be a lot lower this time, but they will be competing at the back of the grid again this year. And on to the team, the new team principal, how he takes the team, how he develops the car over the season, improves Logan Sargent as a whole in terms of driver, how Alex Albon takes the car forward with the team. It will be all down on to the team principal, how he runs the team. So with no funds, no facility, not proper facilities, no budget, this team will be struggling a lot this year. And once again, this team has to go high up the grade with the name it's carrying, Sir Frank Williams. Yeah, the name it's carrying, it's a heritage for Formula One. So I think this team needs to go high up the grade rather than staying at the bottom. And it will be again on time go about this and how will they develop the car. Now then, I've given you my overview about how the testing went in the past 3 days and how the teams shape up after the testing, how the teams are looking after the testing. It will be down onto the Bahrain's qualifying. I'm really looking forward to Bahrain Grand Prix. Till then, do like my video and subscribe to my channel. Till then, bye.